Yes! What is going on, everyone? And welcome back to the greatest show in all of pro wrestling and sports entertainment. You know we are talking about the Royal Rundown. In fact, I'm going to show you guys that you dig again just for the ones in the back. Look at it. This week in pro wrestling, the Royal Rundown. What is going on, everybody? I am your host of the evening, SERG, VICENTE. You might know me from the Fight Podcast and as well as the fantastic Scrap News. Make sure you go ahead and check out the Scrap News for everything in the world of combat sports. Fantastic journalism all the way, just fantastic. Chef's kiss. It's beautiful. All right, if you guys are paying attention today, joining me right from the beginning of the show is my sister from another mister. The best mind in all of pro wrestling. I'm telling you, she did things that y'all don't even know. NXT, WWE, Paul himself is out here like, hey, brother, we got to make sure, we get her going. You know who I'm talking about. My partner in crime, Miss Dre Day. Dre Day, what is going on?
That intro gets grande and more grande every week. Why are you like this?
We try to have a good time with it. We try to make it do what it does.
Why are you like this?
Well, because we don't know. Fuck it the hell. I don't know.
You already know. Look, Serge, it's a Thursday. We out here acting crazy. We flipping the script this week. Things are just weird.
It's Thursday
right now. Things are just weird right now.
It's Thursday. As you see behind me,
he's home, y'all. Look at him, just happy.
I'm home.
That Cali
Serge has come back to Los Angeles, California. He's back. What is going on, people? Thank you for joining us on a Thursday. Thursday here. Yes, I know it's not after NXT, but your boy was traveling. I was traveling, so thank you guys so much for joining me. Miss Dre Day, thank you so much for joining me on the show. And there is so much to discuss, because guess what? Today, I don't plan on just discussing the WWE. I do not plan on just discussing what happened in WrestleMania. That's here and gone. That's happened. It's kind of boring over there now. So we're going to talk about some more fun. We're going to talk a little AEW today. So really quick before we get into it, on today's menu, we are going to go ahead and talk about, who's actually going to be the one to go ahead and defeat our tribal chief? Who is it going to be? We will discuss that. We're also going to discuss who is the next AEW superstar to make the jump to WWE. And a lot more. Let's just say that, because I don't want to give too much away. We're going to have fun before I get into it. Miss Dre Day, how are you today?
Man, it's Thursday. It's been a long day, but it's a good day. We ain't rounding it out with the Royal Rundown, with the family in the comments already, getting it cracking. And so it's a good time. So we're ready to have a great show, have a good time. Serge, we got stuff to talk. We got shit to talk. It's going to be a good time.
We have some stuff to discuss, and I'll say this, there has been a lot of fun wrestling and stuff to kind of catch up on. And I don't know about you. I felt a little bit of the post-WrestleMania lull. I've been... I feel it here deep in my chest at times. I've been going back and watching highlights of Vince McMahon getting stunned over and over again just to get me through the day. So,
like, oh no.
I'm feeling it. But AEW has literally been knocking it out the park ever since, they've been back, or they haven't really stopped. But post WrestleMania, they're fantastic, and there's so much going on. But let's go ahead and jump into the show, because I know a lot of people want to just get into it. And everybody who's watching live right now on, the Scrap News is YouTube, as well as, I almost said Facebook. Who the fuck uses Facebook?
Who are you right
now? And the Fight Podcast YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching live. You guys are just as much part of the show as me and my wonderful co-host is. So thank you guys for watching live. Also, go ahead and grab some Fight Podcast merch. You want to.
Get that.
You know what I'm saying? Make it happen. All right. So a lot is going on WWE. And one thing that I think a lot of us have to really agree on and admit is that Cody Rhodes has been the brightest of superstars since coming over to the WWE. He has been absolutely killing it. I think people are loving him. He's over here kissing his belt, handing it to babies and shit. People are loving Cody Rhodes. So it really made me think about it, and I'm going to throw it to you right from the beginning. Is Cody Rhodes the man to beat our tribal chief? Is he the man who would be king?
It's the only one that makes sense, right? He came back, made his grand, re-debut in WWE, and Homelander came home, and it just
Homelander.
everything that Homelander came home. And let's be clear, I'm one of those people that adores the fact that Cody Rhodes went out and bet on himself. He started in WWE, had a pretty notable run, a pretty notable run. It wasn't that he wasn't doing anything when he was there. He didn't do what he wanted to do per se, but he was still very much prominently part of the mid card, especially tag team champion, former intercontinental champion. The man's done a lot of things while he was there.
He's done it all.
And that was the first time he left. And he spent the last 6 years or so on the indies and then literally helped build a whole new company, the largest competition WWE's had since WCW. And it's and WWE came back and was like, hey, you want to come home? And he was like, absolutely. And it's the version of him that he created, not WWE. And I think that there is something to be said about that. That is really, really, really important. He's the only one that makes sense. He comes in and he's already the top babyface in the business. He's the top babyface, especially in WWE. He's the top babyface. They have not built a babyface in WWE that can even hold a candle to what occurred when Cody's music hit at WrestleMania against Seth Rollins.
Pretty amazing, wasn't it?
It's pretty. That's one of those special moments. You're gonna remember that. They're gonna be biographying about that. There'll be a biography about it in 10 years, and it'll be amazing. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that makes sense. So I think it makes sense that that he's the one that beats Roman. When is the key question? Because it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like Roman's done yet, right? I don't feel like he's finished. I feel like there's a lot of other things he needs to do before he actually loses those titles.
What would those things be in your opinion? In your opinion, what would those things be?
I don't want him losing until we get him and Rock. I want him and Rock, and I don't want that for nothing.
I wish I had the clip. I wish I did. And you guys, if you haven't already seen it, and look, I do not really watch The Young Rock. I tried to watch that show first season, and it's pretty bad. I'm not going to lie to you. It was really difficult to get through.
Oh, absolutely not, terrible. Sergio.
The first season
it is adorable. What are you talking about?
I guess I don't watch adorable things. Actually, I do watch adorable things, but that, in my opinion, wasn't adorable.
That show is adorable.
Second season, I'm enjoying. Second season, candidly, I'm enjoying.
You just like the story better. That's because it's the stuff you know.
Maybe.
That's terrible.
That is my opinion. This is my opinion.
In your opinion. I'm disappointed in your little opinion.
Very, very good taste in television and film, and you know this. Just quality. You got me questioning. You got me questioning. You look. It's not. We'll continue discussing if we like Young Rock or not. But
they did have a
really dope moment where it was like a young Roman Reigns. They even did the acknowledge me thing. It was super dope. I loved it. I'm with you. They absolutely have to do Roman versus The Rock.
And Roman can't lose before that.
Because it doesn't make exactly.
That to me is the final boss, right? That's Roman's final boss. Once he beats Rock, because Roman should beat Rock. That just Then we can start talking about, Katie got notes. Katie, Serge got notes. Stop. It was still the AM and he started them notes. You already know he did. Come on. You know how he do. Serge, that's your next shirt. I got notes.
Well, got notes.
Serge got notes. That's your next shirt. You need to go ahead and make that.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I think that Cody is the only one that can do it, but they gotta save it for something big. And like, depending on when Rock and Roman is gonna ever happen, which it has to happen. Like, I'm sorry.
Has to happen. It has to.
You know, and whether that is a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania situation, that tells me we're not getting Cody with that belt until next year of some sort, which is fine. I think Cody's got a year of this. Welcome home, Cody. Cody's doing his version of what Punk is doing in AEW right now.
Okay,
welcome
home. I like it.
You know what I mean? So give him that time to do that. Let him have his cool. The Miz feud is perfect. First feud. Him and Seth right after that.
Great. Absolutely.
All of that is perfect. And then let it build. And then once Roman and Rock happens, then we could talk to me about it's time for Cody to go ahead and take that.
I love it. I love it. I agree with you. I honestly have nothing to contend with that because it really makes the most sense. When we're looking at it, there are enough big stars and possibilities for Cody Rhodes right now to make it really interesting and make it fun. And Roman at this point in time is the final boss, right? He's kingpin. He's the final boss. He is your tribal chief. You have to be able to go out there and again, it would make sense. Look, and I told you guys from the jump, I'm okay with Roman holding this title for 1,000 days. I can care less because he is still the best thing smoking over there, and he is killing it. Like you said, I think there's so much more to do with that character that you're even hearing. We'll talk about NXT later on the show. You hearing guys at NXT talking about it's in my bloodline and all kind of other things. I mean, there's a lot that can continue happening with this, but 1,000%, you gotta wait till The Rock. You gotta wait till he beats The Rock for this to happen. I'm absolutely with you. Before I move on with this one, how have you liked what the WWE has done with Cody Rhodes since he's been there?
Perfect. It's the Cody he created. It's the Cody that got him both beloved and a little hated at AEW, you know what I mean, towards the end, but it's still what he created. And it is perfect. It wasn't necessarily, it was good for AEW at first. AEW, I don't want to say grew out of that, but I'll say they grew away from it, right? Because they're just a different brand. It's a different brand, you know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
What Cody did and created his little, I call it the Homelander Cody. It's so WWE. It's so sports entertainment. It's so extra. The Cody Vader, the smoke, the music, wrestling has more than one royal family at the beginning. I mean, come on. All of that is
it's awesome.
So WWE that, I think his presentation is perfect. And his promo the night after Raw, where he's basically letting you know, hey, listen, I'm coming here to do what my father couldn't and become champion. That sets the seeds. That plants the seeds. So we already know what his goals are. Again, give us some long-term storytelling by making us wait for him and Roman.
I love it. I mean,
so
I think
it all ties it together. It's perfect. I think he's done a great job. I think everything that his presentation has been so far has been perfect. And if they just need to kind of stay consistent and just continue to give him interesting people to wrestle. My little pitch is that give me belt collector Cody. I think Cody this entire year should be U.S. champ, Intercontinental champ, tag
I like
champ.
that idea.
Let him have all of that. Let him run through it all before we get to final boss Roman after we get Rock Roman.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think that is and then again, he will complete the hero's journey. The prodigal son came home, did it all. And did it all. I did it all. I love that. I think that would be a great thing. Do you find it interesting that Cody Rhodes is coming to the WWE with the same fucking gimmick? And he was getting booed as he was leaving there, but as soon as he gets to the WWE, everybody's like, yes, the same guy. I love him now, though.
Because he's in the right place. It's like putting a square peg round hole. It wasn't that Cody was doing anything wrong aside from the one big thing he did wrong, right? Which was the Anthony and Go-Go feud.
Come on, man. We got to get off of Cody Luther King.
Cody Luther King had his moment. And that was his one big mistake. And I think that, and if you can really kind of trajectory it back, that's when the boos began, right?
Absolutely.
And
they did, yep.
so, I think, but in terms of like I'm not surprised that same gimmick gets cheered in WWE because that's the right place for him. That's Absolutely. The right place for that sense. Gimmick. AEW is way more grittier, way more grounded in realism. That crowd is not going to fully embrace something so sanitized,
so polished,
without it being ironic. Like if it's being Chris Jericho, for example, is doing it, but he's being ironic. It's on purpose. He wants the boos, right? That's what's supposed to be happening. If Cody had done all of this, stayed in AEW and turned heel, we'd be having a different conversation. No one hates pro wrestling more than Katie, it's the truth. And it's so like wrestling fans are crazy. They're nuts. Wrestling Twitter is the craziest. Wrestling Twitter is the craziest corner of Twitter because it's got a little bit of all of the craziest parts of Twitter in it.
You haven't had to swim in the pool of MMA Twitter. I'm just letting you. I'm telling you,
I bet it's the same. I bet it is so close. I bet it's all very similar.
It's similar. I mean, they definitely they definitely different type of nuts, but it's all the same foolishness. Okay, well let's do this then, because obviously that was the right choice for Cody Rhodes to come over. And honestly, today I feel like the theme of today's episode is going to be right choices, because a lot of these athletes have recently made the right choices, and we're going to go ahead and discuss all of them. But with that being said, who is the next AEW star to make that jump to the WWE?
Ooh, I want the comments to answer this one, because
comments, what y'all got? Who is the next AEW star to make the jump to the WWE? Because I have an answer, and I'm gonna tell you guys exactly who it's going to be. I mean,
I think there's a cute little first? I got like a cute little couple like that. I think that would be good fits there. Yes. I'm not going to say that they're going to make the jump, because Lord knows anything goes, right? But I think I have a couple that are decent fits.
Let us
Brian
know.
Cage. I think that MJF is an obvious choice. And I mean, hello, somebody. And then I also am never going to say, I'm going to throw a funny one in here. I see a good one in the comments, Moxley. That's an interesting one. The people that are like back and forth, doing the Cody, I wouldn't be surprised if we got one more Chris Jericho match in WWE. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, I like
so
that.
Those are my three that I'm like, I could see that happening. I can almost see Christian coming back too and doing one more Edge and Christian moment.
Which would be sick.
I could see that too. Which would be sick. But it just depends on how they feel about, it's so.
And he'll get a hero's welcome
politics
also.
Stuff. Oh, of course. Oh my.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Maxwell Jacob Freeman is the obvious choice. You know what I'm saying?
Joy's choice is another one that I hear a lot. I hear that one a lot.
Who's that? Let me see.
Jade. I hear that a lot.
Oh, you know what? Jade was one that I'm on the fence with, just because I feel like it's one of those things that I think that she is so important to them. I feel like they're going to give her the bag. I think they're going to give her because they're going to be like, this is our Bianca Belair. We need to keep this one.
That's why I think MJF won't. I don't think MJF is going to leave for that same reason. I think MJF he's smart enough to know that WWE's been talking to him. Let's be clear. They have 1000%. I have no doubt in my mind that they have expressed interest in him, no matter when that contract come up, if it's in 2023 or if it's in 2025, whenever it is. He's young. First of all, he's super young. Dude ain't even 30 yet. You know what I mean? He's this good, this young, and he is very sports entertainment. He is very WWE.
He's built for it. He's built for it.
And he was that's where he originally was trying to go in the first place. He sent an audition tape for Tough Enough.
Yes, he did.
All this other stuff. So, WWE does kind of play on this thing that everybody grew up watching them. And so everyone's going to at least listen to them or have a conversation with them, whether they decide to go there or not.
True.
I just think that MJF is smart enough to know that he's gotten into AEW at the beginning, at the ground floor. And if Tony Khan is as smart as we think he is, he's going to throw all the bags at him forever so that he stays there.
I agree.
Because you can't lose both Cody and you can't lose a former WWE guy and an original at the same,
now
any kind of close proximity with another, because that would be a bad look.
I totally agree. I think, like you said, I think Jade would be obviously a great choice. I mean, if she went over there, I mean, it's very similar. Thinking about that also. Extremely.
I do wish, I love, some of these comments, imagine Jade versus Bianca, Charlotte, Sasha, Becky. Yes, it'd
be amazing.
That's the thing about the Forbidden Door that I love. But I just wish it was more open on the WWE side, because man, what? First of all, Jade versus Charlotte Flair. I just want to put that in the room.
What?
I just want to know
what you think about Sammy. Promos alone would be crazy.
Listen, he'd have to entertain the conversation, and I could see them very much wanting to. Now, on the flip though of this is Sammy Guevara, and this is WWE eyes, not necessarily mine. But Sammy Guevara, what's the difference between him and Santos Escobar, or what's the tag team that does the Kiss Cam now? Them
Los Losarios, or whatever the hell they call themselves.
Exactly. Unfortunately, wrestling fans do this too. But, WWE, they like to do this whole, they're Mexican, so are they. Boom. Keith Lee and Powerhouse Hobbs, they're the same guy. No, they're not. Or
not at all. Very different.
Powerhouse Hobbs and Big E, which is what they used to do a lot. It's they're not the same guy. They're big black dudes who wear singlets, but their moveset is completely different. The way their characters are not the same, but they're two big black dudes in singlets, so they're gonna do that. So people were already doing the whole Bianca Belair debut, and they're like, oh, she's just a Sasha Banks. They're two completely different body types, completely characters. What are you talking about? They do it with Jade Cargill all the time. Oh, discount Bianca Belair. It's like they're just two black girls with muscles. That is literally the only thing they have in common. So I just wish, I get worried about that. And I think that any AEW wrestler who is thinking about going to WWE is probably also worrying about that, because it's like, hey, how are you going to, are you going to preserve my character like you did Cody's? But I'm not a Rhodes. I'm Jade Cargill. I just started wrestling 5 minutes ago, so I'm not a Rhodes. So are you going to give me that? People are
afraid of getting just thrown in and just becoming a part of the machine.
Correct.
And it seems like, at least with AEW, they have a touch more of that creative control, and you just won't get lost in the shuffle. Yeah. I mean, when you watch, I was watching Dynamite this past Wednesday, and aside from
I'm sorry, Sergio. Can you say that one more time in my good ear? You were doing what now? On what now? What was that?
So I was watching AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday, and I watched that shit live. Okay, I saw that shit live when it happened. I had to watch the fucking commercials. I sat through it all. All right, actually, but the whole picture-in-picture thing, I'm here for. Okay, I am. But they have every segment is something else, and you care about what's coming next. And literally, you go watch that, and then whatever the hell their Rampage or whatever the hell their Friday show is called, the freaking sprint of a show, whatever the hell that is. I need an inhaler
Rampage
every time I get done watching it.
It's wrestling just smacking you in the face.
Just wrestle. That shit is exhausting. I'll be sitting here just with a towel around my neck watching it. I'm sweating so much just watching that shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, it goes by so fast.
They're able to jam so much in to such a small package, essentially. And it's upsetting that the WWE hasn't done that. So I'm sure some of those wrestlers on the other side are like, damn, if I go over there, am I just going to be another guy? So that is something that I think all of them have to worry about and think about. Am I going to be the star over here? Am I going to be Kayla Harrison over here in the PFL? Or am I just going to be somebody else in the UFC? So it is one of those things. I'm curious to see what they do. All right. But with that being said, hold on, let me look at these comments really quick because let's see, game changer, blah,
Folks
blah,
is
blah.
talking. We hit a nerve.
What did I say? What did I say wrong? What did I do?
No, I mean, just it's the simple fact of like when you're discussing, when you're really if you're a wrestler, like I always put myself in their shoes before I go, oh, I think so and so should go to WWE or so and so should go to AEW. It's like you have to entertain the conversation as business wise, but it's like, hey, these people, most of these pro wrestlers are also creatives. They are artists. They take their job very seriously, and so, you know, people like John Moxley and CM Punk, for example, like, yeah, they made $1 jillion in WWE, but they at what cost? But like at what cost? You know, CM Punk, you know, dang near died. And, you know, Moxley, you know, was just not what they weren't happy. And so I feel like if I was a new wrestler right now, if I was on the indies and my goal was to make it to one of these two companies, it would really have to really depend on the situation. And I'm never mad when a wrestler jumps ship either way, because it's clearly one, they're going to WWE for money. Like, let's be clear. They're going to go there for the bag, and they're going to go there to live out dreams. If you're a wrestler, of course you dream about wrestling at WrestleMania. Like, that's just real. So get the bag, live a couple two dreams, and then maybe go to AEW for your creative stuff for now until AEW builds up enough, you know, bandwidth and
since we're talking about AEW and creatives and people that are so creative that they might even be, you know, performing at Grammy parties and going to the Grammys. They might be out here, you know, just be the biggest, nicest, most aggressive person in the world. Who knows? Let me ask you this. Are Swerve and Keith Lee the new outsiders? Look, I'm gonna say it again for the people in the back, because again, I'm gonna ask you over here. Are Swerve and Keith Lee the new outsiders?
Listen, there's something, because it's very clear that their chemistry together is out of this world. Like, it's out of this world. Their swag, their stage presence, before they even throw a punch, before the bell even rings, they do so much entertaining you before that even happens. It's out of this world. And then you can't help but cheer for them. They are like natural, organic baby faces in this, you know, right now in AEW, which is amazing, because we know that especially Swerve can work heel as well. So my thing is, you know, are they the new outsiders? Sure. Now, are they the outsiders in the traditional sense? Not necessarily, because, you know, people forget that, you know, Swerve and Keith Lee had very good reputations and very long and amazing careers on the indies before they even touched NXT.
Good point.
And so a lot of people try to like go, oh, okay, some more WWE guys you know, getting the spotlight in AEW. And it's like, they AEW guys? Because I feel like they wrestled longer on the indies before they even touched NXT.
For sure.
And they wrestled longer there than they did in NXT. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, yeah, you know, it'd be stupid to say that they didn't get some finishings and learn some things there and brought them over to AEW. Of course they did, right? That's just like you went to one job, you learned some stuff, you go to you take that to the new job. It's the same thing.
For sure.
But I do love that they are being treated like the stars they are. That is the difference. And like, you know, they are already stars. They don't need to do any more. There's no more shine polish to put on them. They're stars. It's literally only a matter of time before both of them have somebody's gold around their waist. And it needs to happen sooner than later, in my personal opinion. And everything about their presentation since they've come back and came into AEW is perfect.
Chef's
kiss.
The flip
of Cody. It's the flip of Cody. Like, exactly. They are home. They are where they're supposed to be. Exactly. And it's dope.
Exactly. I love it. I'm glad that you said that, because it really is. What is it? The antithesis of Cody, right? They're on the, like I said, the other side of the spectrum. And it's just so dope to see because they're allowed to be as creative. They're allowed to be themselves.
Yes.
Keith Lee is allowed to be like Tommy Pickles and say that Nike is better. He can do that, okay? He can go out there and make that happen.
Show that chest, Mr. Lee.
You know what I'm saying? And Swerve can be, hey, let it out there.
Show the belly, Joe. Let's go.
You know, I'm not mad at him at all. He wants to go and wobble, do whatever he wants to do. I am not mad at Keith Lee. But you have then Swerve, who is he's like you said, he's an artist. I look at him when he wrestles, and I will admit this to the world. You guys already know who my favorite wrestler is. Don't care what y'all say. The tribal chief is that dude.
He's wearing the shirt. He's the Lost Uso. If y'all want to know, Serge is the Lost Us.
What up, Us? We all know that when you mix a black and Puerto Rican, it makes a Samoan.
It's just math. Honest, you know what I'm saying? It's just math. I don't make the rules.
It's what it is. It's just what it is. But
foolish.
Dude is an absolute. He's my Swerve is my second favorite wrestler in the world. Yeah, it's not even close. He there's nothing that he cannot do, and this pairing with Keith Lee, I think, is phenomenal. The beef that they have with Team Taz, and they're even getting Taz out there starting to do some stuff again. Chef's kiss. I loved it. I want to add real quick. Loved it. Yes, please.
Joey asked if Swerve and Keith Lee wrestled together on the Indies, and I believe they did. I believe they did do some tagging. You know what I mean? You can't say wrestler. He's your favorite superstar. Get it right, sir.
WWE
have
he is
superstars.
AEW. And you know what?
Roman's your favorite superstar.
And Cody is saying wrestler in the WWE, so you can say it over there now. I'm blaming Cody.
Listen,
I'm blaming Highlander, Cody, whatever.
Homeland, forbidden door of terms here at the Fight Podcast in the Royal Rundown. No, like it's really, really dope to like you said, to watch them be themselves. Hit Row was so damn good. And like this just every time I see Swerve wrestle on AEW, which has only been a couple times so far, right? I get so angry because again, forbidden door moment, just in your brain, just fantasy life. Could you see Swerve and Seth Rollins? Just think about it. Just take a moment.
Why did you say that?
I have not. Don't you want to see it now?
Until this moment, right now.
You didn't know you wanted to see it. Then now you do.
Oh my God! I have been deprived of such awesomeness.
Like, think of the promos. Think of the segments. Think of the outfits.
I'm hurt. Oh, like the outfits alone. The outfits alone would have been just out of this world. But Swerve is phenomenal. I love everything that he's been doing. Keith Lee is phenomenal. I love everything that he's doing. AJ Styles has not been phenomenal, but we'll talk about that at some other point in time.
Also, like you mentioned real quick, because yesterday on Dynamite, we'd be remiss, since we're talking about Swerve and Keith Lee, we'd be remiss to not give Powerhouse Hobbs and Mr. Hometown
Ricky
New Orleans
Starks.
man, Ricky Starks.
Mr. Diet DJ is fantastic.
Diet DJ. Why is Serge like this, y'all? Somebody help him. No. But straight up, the reason why folks call him Diet DJ is because, I mean, the charisma is just ridiculous, right? Like, eventually, it's just dumb. It just doesn't make any sense. And it's so great. It's so great to see Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. First of all, this is such a cool thing because Keith Lee and Swerve are already popular, right? They came from WWE. They were already popular a little bit before that. Yeah. And Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs are like legitimate newbies. Ricky Starks was on the indies too, but like, you know, literally got signed because he did a Cody's Open Challenge, I believe. So like, they're almost getting the rub off of Keith Lee and Swerve because of how cool this rivalry is. And Swerve and Keith Lee aren't losing anything, even though they've lost some matches. They're still like they still strong, and it's just some really good booking.
Good
you know what I mean?
It's great booking, good wrestling, good pro wrestling. I mean,
Because we still know, because we
watching,
know the feud's not done. We know the
not
feud's
at
not
all.
done. We know we've got some more singles matches to do. We know we'll probably have
Absolutely.
another tag to
Oh,
do. We know Taz is now, pulling ankles and
involved.
stuff. So it's a good time. It's just really, really interesting. Team Taz is going to turn face at some point. I
Some
mean,
point, yeah.
Ricky Starks is getting too many cheers. He's doing heel
Far too many.
stuff and getting
Yeah.
cheered,
Yeah.
So it's just
He's
very,
great.
that'll be cool because they can lose this little, like eventually they can lose this feud so that him and Hobbs can actually feud and turn Ricky face for real.
That's what they need to do.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, the ones that I think obviously you can tell by the pop of the fans every time Keith Lee and Swerve go out there. And like you said, you can just watch that intro. I have watched their intro over and over again. It is, like you said, the charisma, everything they bring to the table, they were built to be with AEW. It's so awesome. It's like they're just oozing charisma. And you know what? It's been cool also to see somebody like Samoa Joe get his shine, getting that ROH TV belt. Now, granted,
finally,
the match was dope. The finish, we can discuss at another date, but it is what it is.
We're just gonna pretend we didn't see it. Like it just didn't happen. That was on a different show.
Yeah, that. But for him to be on there also, and again, he's another one of those guys like you were talking about before. It's not necessarily that they're ex WWE guys. These are guys. Samoa Joe is an ROH legend. So to be able to see him
TNA
back there doing his thing,
legend.
exactly. So be able to see him there is phenomenal, and I'm loving that I'm able to see these guys on both ends. The Cody's on the other end really be able to fit where they belong, and the other guys where they belong. It's really dope to see as a sports entertainment fan. We're living in a really good time right now. It's
a good timeline. It's a real fun.
Really
it's
nice.
a real
really
fun timeline for wrestling, for real.
Yeah. Oh, I did forget about this.
We can't forget about Miss Storm. Yeah.
This is another one.
Absolutely.
WWE by far.
Absolutely.
They could have so many awesome Let me ask you before we move on to the next thing, because we are kind of jumping into this, and this is actually going to segue into the next one. Who would you like to see if you can make a faction right now in the WWE? Who would your faction be? Give me two.
In WWE?
Yeah, that they're not currently a faction. Who would you want?
That they're not currently a faction? I can't add people to current factions.
My man.
Which people, though? Joey, what are we talking about? Listen, real quick before I do the faction thing, I want to touch on one of these comments. It says that Katie's comment about AEW's roster being inflated. Yes. I don't disagree with that. However, I think we have to, one of the things that I have to catch myself with when I'm watching AEW is the fact that we've been watching WWE uncontested for the most part, unless you watch like New Japan and Impact and stuff like consistently. But we've been watching WWE for 20 some years, just about uncontested. So we're almost trained as fans to view wrestling programs in the way that they construct it. And so even for me, when AEW first began and I started watching it, because I only dibbled and dabbled in indie stuff at first. I watch far more indie stuff now, but I dibbled and dabbled in it. But you almost have to retrain your brain into remembering that there's more than one way to book a wrestling show.
Yes.
And AEW books so differently than WWE. Yeah. They've got sprinkles of the same thing because now they're both on television, and there's just some television consistencies between all of, even Impact, right? TNA, or Impact, formerly known as TNA, right? So there's a lot of different. There's a couple of things that are consistent because you're booking a wrestling show for TV, but other than that, they're three completely different ways of booking. So I just feel like sometimes we don't have to see a wrestler every week for that to be a good thing. I think the one thing AEW does do pretty well, they have a large roster. This is facts, but I kind of like not seeing every wrestler every week. I kind of like missing a wrestler a little bit, and then they pop up in a vignette that tells me they're going to be there next week or something like that.
Okay,
I
like
actually kind of like that because it gives you a chance to miss them. And then think about, that's why some of their audience reactions are so much more better, because they're not overly done. You know, you get a chance to miss Punk. You get a chance to miss Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. You get a chance to miss them. And then when they pop up, you're like, yes, I'm so glad I got to see them. To these factions, what's Katie talking about here? Legacy 2.0.
This is fantastic.
Cody.
I actually, I'm
Let's
here
see.
for this.
What is this? Cody runs into Call Up Breaker and give me Dominic Mysterio as heel. Don't hate that at all.
I like it. I can
Hell, you
be
can
down
throw
with that.
Solo in there. You could throw Solo in there with that legacy before he eventually gets to the bloodline.
Because he's coming.
I don't hate that. Because he's definitely going. Add Rhea. Katie, you are absolutely right. Katie, you are absolutely right. Please add Rhea Ripley to the Edge Priest thing. Yes. They need a lady. They need a lady. I have a sneaky suspicion they might also add Alexa Bliss to that.
Ooh, okay.
Because her little Bray Wyatt, thingy is kind of fading out now. It's kind of close enough where you can kind of you can make that turn.
I like it. I wouldn't. But I like
Rhea. I think they need a fly girl for that, and I think that would be a fly woman to that faction. And Edge and Priest, Rhea Ripley, that would be banging. I would love that.
Okay. Well, look, I've even seen people on this in the comments and everything, even saying people like Grayson Waller and things like that.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and jump into talking about NXT, because there has been some movement. We've seen, Tommaso Ciampa come up. We've seen, shit.
He got to keep his name.
What was that?
Tommaso Ciampa got to keep his name. Praise the Lord.
He did get to keep his name. But with the call-ups, NXT call-ups, what are your thoughts on some of these name changes and who's next? So we're going to go ahead and talk about NXT for a hot second, about 5 to 10 minutes, guys, because, again, we got a couple more things to get to. But this is one I really did have a question about, is that we had some call-ups. Again, you have Gunther, which I don't understand why he's Gunther now, but you have him up here. You got his boy that we just demolished Imperium, like everything that I don't like what they personally did with that one. They trying to make him look like Nazis and shit, just crazy. I don't like it. So let me ask you this: aside from this call up, what are the other call ups that you have recently been excited about?
Okay, so I think that Tommaso Ciampa is one I'm excited about, but cautiously excited about. I'm cautiously excited about Tommaso Ciampa. That man is very similar to like a Kevin Owens, where you can give him anything and he's going to work his behind off and probably make it work.
Yep. Yo, so the little thing even that he did with Ezekiel Elias, whatever the hell his name is, and you wouldn't he played it so well.
He played it so straight that he still was himself, but you're like, you just wouldn't expect him. First of all, if you were going to pick a name out of a hat to be in that segment, it wouldn't have been his. Like, you just wouldn't have thought of it be him, but he did it and he made it work. I love Tommaso Ciampa, and one of the top 3 wrestling matches I've seen in person in my entire life. This was not aired. Was Sami Zayn versus Tommaso Ciampa at NXT Chicago before it was on television. When I tell you I was ringside for this, it is by far, top 2 maybe best matches I've ever seen in real life. Like, amazing. That thing was insane. And so I just want to see that again, but put it with the WWE lights, please and thank you. Like, I
mean, honestly, Sami Zayn is one of those guys, another one of those guys that you can do anything with. So to watch him with somebody like a Tommaso Ciampa, who I think so highly of, is fantastic. I would. That's bogus.
My sister says he's gonna be Ciampa in a couple weeks. He won't even have the Tommaso, and I hate you because you might be right. Like, it's just possible. Because Austin Theory is just Theory now. Like, and he's been Austin Theory on the main roster. For how long? I don't even talk about it.
Yo, the way he tries to say it, call me Theory. What? I ain't calling you Theory. Who are you? Brad Pitt from that Tank movie? Get out of here.
My thing is, like, here's the thing about the name changes that I think bothers me more than anything else. Someone said this ain't FCW. FCW wasn't necessarily on television, right? So you can change a name before they got to the main roster and it's fine. A very small population of wrestling fans would know this.
Yeah.
These people have had not just names, whole characters, they've had titles with this name, with these names. You know what I'm saying? Walter was a UK champ, you know.
Yep.
Pete Dunne was a champion. These people had titles.
At least they tried to like make it like Pete Dunne's thing. Like, this is his nickname. He goes by another name, but this is actually his nickname. So we're just gonna call him his nickname. At least they tried to play that off.
I mean, that's the best version of that they've ever done, right? Because usually they just pretend like we didn't see them before. Like, you've never seen this person before. Yes, stop it. Like, stop. And so I think that's the only thing that bothers me the most about it. Granted, this is wrestling. These people are who they are. You know, kayfabe is what it is now. So people kind of know things. So we know who they are. My thing is, you got to now, because you have smarter fans, you have to play against Walter chants when Gunther's in the ring.
Yo, let's be clear. Gunther peep how that happened? Did you see how? Did you peep how Pat McAfee was like, "Look at that! They're yelling Gunther in the crowd." Fam, they're definitely saying Walter.
Like, we can hear them. And like, I think that's the thing that is annoying, because then you set these already newer characters on the main roster, per se. You set them back already. You're putting them in there with two strikes, and it's already like, okay, you're new-ish, whatever. You're new to the main roster, so entertain me. That's already what the audience is thinking, and then you're going to set them back with this whole new name change when you don't necessarily need to. Like, that's nerve-wracking. They always say Uso with Solo Sequoia.
Yeah,
I love that.
Like, Uso,
right?
Ooh.
Like, that's cool, because like, and Solo is a play on their father's name, so like, that's dope. So all of that.
Could you tell people, the ones who may not know, that little tidbit?
Oh, so Solo, I'm going to mispronounce the name, so I won't even try, but Solo is a part of Rakishi's real name. So that's how they came to Solo Sequoia, which I think is really fly. Like, it's a nice little nod to their dad. I think that's different from like what the audience yelling Uso when Solo is out there is different than the audience yelling Walter when Gunther's out there.
Absolutely right.
It's connected. You know what I mean? It's it's an homage. It's we respect you already because we know where you come. We respect your bloodline. We know where you come from, kind of thing. So yeah, and then this whole thing with last names. Is that Joey's team? I was already there. WWE doesn't let people have their last names anymore. Charlotte was Charlotte Flair for a long time.
Is she not?
And then she was Charlotte. Well, and then she was just Charlotte. And I can't. And then like sometimes she's Charlotte Flair, and sometimes she's just Charlotte. You just never know.
I always thought she was Charlotte Flair, but I don't be knowing shit. I don't know. Well,
because it flipped around for a lot. Okay. I think she was just Charlotte for a while. I think that's what she was first, and then they let her be the Flair. They added the Flair to it, which cool.
Let me ask you this.
My thing is, with NXT call-ups, you got to be careful. There's only been a handful of really successful call-ups from the jump, and you just set them back when you you change their name. So crazy. Taking off a last name is not necessarily as bad, but like it's changing the complete name, but keeping the whole character. Gunther is Walter, so why can't he just be Walter? Like, I don't understand. Yeah. It's small. It's just weird and small-minded, and it's reeks of like a marketing branding person saying this name sounds better without really understanding the wrestling audience.
Right. No, that makes total sense. Well, let me ask you this, because we got to get it. We have a couple more minutes left. In your opinion, who should be next? The next call from NXT coming up.
I think NXT 2.0 has been, I mean, a few people have said it, I watch it usually before our show when our shows are on Tuesdays. So I actually finally since we started doing our shows on Tuesday, I actually was like, okay, let me watch 2.0 for real. Cause my black and gold heart was still there. But let me give it a try for real.
Black and gold is always in my heart.
Yeah, I know it is. Go ahead, sir. That's you. All right,
Just
let you
let him
run
know.
it.
Just all
He gonna
right. Just
start
ask for
strolling in
that
a
update.
minute, y'all. Okay, no. But 2.0 has been actually, I've been fair. I don't want to say surprised, but it's been really good. You know what I mean? I've actually really enjoyed it. It's a completely different tone. Wrestling can be fun. Wrestling can be goofy. I love all of it. So, and it's both fun, goofy, and it's got its serious moments. I think that I don't want to say only, but I'm going to say it. The only wrestler to me right now that has all of it, that is completely ready, that I want to see versus several human beings on the main roster right now is Carmelo Hayes.
Woo! You know what? Carmelo's a pack. He's ready. He's ready to
Ready.
go. Let me ask you this: if you can put
Katie, good
Carmelo
shout for Dakota
Hayes,
Kai. Dakota Kai, in my brain, she's already there, but I know she's not. That's also a very good shout. But Melo is ready right now.
so who would you like to see Melo in there with? If we had a choice to go out there and put him in a feud from the jump, who would you like to see him against in the main roster?
First feud, Ricochet, right? First feud, Ricochet for the belt, have him win it. Period. First,
Just a little bit
give me
more
2
black
matches.
on black crime. Let's just make
Yes,
it happen.
give me 2 matches, and then a little bit, not that far down that line, but a little bit. Again, I keep bringing Seth Rollins up because I feel like he's like a quiet MVP right now, and I should say
I
not
mean,
so
he's a
quiet.
legend.
I want to see Melo versus Seth Rollins
I
ladder
would love
match.
to see that. Oh my
Ladder
God,
match.
yes.
That's
Yes,
what I
yes,
want.
yes.
I don't know. I don't care why. I don't know what Money in the Bank. I don't know. Whatever. I want
Oh,
Melo and Seth in a
I would
ladder
love that.
match.
No, I
It'll be
think
fly. It'll be great.
that would be so dope. And you and I discussed this before. Like the ones that I think are the more ready ones, obviously Carmelo Hayes. I think Solo is. You could bring him up, but it's no reason to right now. Gonna give him 6 months, throw a belt on him, then bring him up with the bloodline. Like it'll be a good time there. But I think he is the one that is also the most ready to go aside from Carmelo. You feel me on that one, or do you feel like in terms of
I
the other?
need him. I think Solo is very, very close. And I
Yeah,
think
that's what I'm saying. I
Solo,
think he's like 6 months
yeah,
away though. I don't think he's there yet.
yeah. And I also think he would be like safe if they did go ahead and just throw him in the, I can keep saying throw him in the bloodline, but like put him with his brothers, put him with put him there with his brothers. And I think that would also kind of like protect him a bit. So like if they were to bring him up a little sooner, I think that protection would be helpful and needed and all of that good stuff. Cause I just feel like he could still use a little bit of finishing on certain things. He's great. He's really close. I just think Melo is
Mhm.
like today. Like Melo is
I hear
ready
you.
right now. Like you put
I think
him and
that's
Seth
so
Rollins can look across the ring from each other and he doesn't look out of place. He doesn't,
right. No,
he doesn't
absolutely.
look and feel out of place. Dakota Kai is another one. I can't forget the ladies, right? Dakota Kai, I
Of
think, is a
course.
great one. I personally think Dakota Kai was more ready than Raquel. That's just me.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see
And
that.
so again, in my brain, Dakota was already up there, but I know she wasn't. It's like, yeah, So yeah, I think those are the ones. Everybody else though in NXT, I think is at 2.0 is where they're supposed to be. And
Shoot.
it's been fun to watch them. It's been really great watching that brand build and swell and so on.
Absolutely. No, that's real. That's real. No, it's actually been more fun than I think a lot of people want to admit. But look, there's a whole lot of wrestling going on, and we are all the way back in full swing. We
Yeah.
have storylines with the WWE. We have storylines with AEW. What's going on with Ortiz, Santana, my man Eddie? Against Jericho and the
Yo.
guys is just again. Chef's
So
kiss. It's
fun.
beautiful. It is such
So
a
fun.
great feud. I love what's happening
It's
over
so
there.
fun.
And again, everywhere else has been killing it. But without further ado, guys, that's about all the time we have to today. It's Thursday. It is,
Gee.
as they say, Thirsty Thursday. I don't drink. So y'all
But I
enjoy
do.
yourselves. I'm gonna go ahead and take this bong rip, and we gonna have a fantastic rest of the night. Love
Yo, don't
y'all.
forget. Don't forget, we'll be back Tuesday after NXT 2.0. So don't forget, this was just a little fun special Thursday because Serge was on flights and stuff. He was catching flights and not
the
feelings.
longest flight. Oh my God. I was so irritated. I've also never been in worse turbulence in my life. It was one of those that I looked over. I was like, they did say you can like go on iChat on here. I might have to text my girl like, hey,
Like,
baby,
bye,
I'm never coming home. Like, this is crazy.
Adrian.
Yo, it was nuts. Like, people screaming and shit. Oh, it was awful.
That is hilarious.
But aside from that, I made it home safe. I'm back in LA. I'm back with my beautiful plants. That orchid definitely died, but the leaves are still there. So it's just in here behind me. We'll figure that out eventually.
Poor
Kind of hurt my heart.
R.I.P. Okay.
But it's okay. It's okay. Yo, without further ado, guys, do not forget to go ahead and subscribe, subscribe, share for the best show in all of pro wrestling and sports entertainment. Let your people know about the Royal Rundown. And also, do not forget to check out the fantastic scrap news. If you want to get the absolute best in, combat sports media and journalism, go ahead and check them out. They are absolutely fantastic. Check out the Fight Podcast as well. Get some merch. Miss Drede, This is Serge Vicente. We will see you guys next. And actually, you know what? Make sure if you at the gig and you working hard, you tell your boss this.
Yesterday's price is not today's price. Yesterday's price is not today's price. He's certified.
Peace.